So this live session is a part of our new series called Not the Olympics. As you all know that this is the time that Olympics was supposed to happen, and because of the coronavirus, it got shelved. And probably we are expecting a spectacular show next year. And now, since the Olympics is not happening this year, to commemorate that period, we are coming up with this new series, and we are discussing like how India would have performed in the Olympics. Today would have been the day six, would have been the day six of the Olympics, and there was some plenty of high voltage action lined up. And today was the day when India, the women's tennis doubles event was supposed to happen. So there was a big chance Sania Mirza was supposed to play in this tournament, in this event particularly. So to discuss about India's possibilities about in Olympics and particularly in tennis, today we have with us India's Fed Cap captain, Mr. Vishaal Uppal. Hi, Vishal.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
All well, thank you.
So, Vishal, the first thing I'm asking everyone, like, how is it going for you during this lockdown session? It's been over 4 months now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fine. Initially, it was a bit of a challenge, but, I'm sure it's given everyone a little opportunity to introspect, to kind of slow down their lifestyle and perhaps put things in perspective. I'm sure everyone has realized, we don't need as much as we desire. Simple living might be the way for everyone. So, yeah, I mean, it's been tough. And at the same time, it's, really helped me grow as a human being, which has been the good part about it.
So one of the biggest things that happened this year was the historic moment when India qualified for the playoffs of the Fed Cup for the first time. And how do you think that this success would transcribe in the Olympics as well?
Yeah, it was a special achievement by our team. I think everyone really worked hard that week in Dubai and came together as a team, which resulted in us, achieving this historic milestone. Having said that, I think this is only first step, in the right direction, and we need to really build from here on and make sure that India women's the Fed Cup team becomes a regular feature in the World Group playoffs, the World Group qualifiers, and eventually the World Group. So I think we're on the right path, and if our girls keep continuing to work hard, and the younger generation, really steps it up, I think the future for Indian women's tennis looks absolutely fabulous.
Okay. So you've played Davis Cup and you've been the part of the bronze medal team that has won in Asian Games 2022. So tell me, how has been your transformation from a player to a coach right now?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I never really thought I'll get into coaching or into mentoring people. And it just so happened, I actually started coaching almost 2 years after I retired from playing professional tennis. And I kind of found the joy in trying to help other people, mentor them. Even when I used to play, I think I was a good senior on the circuit in terms of, just helping out youngsters, Somdev, Sanam, all these guys, they're very good friends, close to me. So I think it somehow just happened and I got into it, and, I just started enjoying it. So yeah, that's how the transition happened.
Okay, so being a coach and now you're seeing the team is performing well in the Fed Cup. They are also doing well as a captain. You're seeing as a captain. So what was your how did you motivate the players?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the good things that happened was, we set on this journey last year in 2019. I remember Sania was injured. A lot of our top girls were injured, and Ankita Rana and I had this conversation where. We were like, okay, next year we've got to try and qualify for the next stage. And luckily for us also this year, Sania came back. She was healthy. Had the Fed Cup happened in China as originally planned, Sania would have been injured and out. So that would have put more stress on our team. But yeah, she came in, Ankita, Rutuja, Ria, Sojanya, they all played their part to perfection. And everyone contributed for this victory. That was the most special part about this victory. So, yeah, I mean, it took a lot of hard work. We were on court almost for 8 hours every day.
Mm.
I know I had to sit on the chair for 8 hours every day, go through 3 matches, and while it was tough, the adrenaline of it all was lovely. The whole experience was amazing, and I can't wait to take on Latvia when we do, whether it's in Feb next year or later. But I'm pretty sure the entire team is excited, and we're all looking forward to that time.
So one thing in tennis is more of a individual sport. If you see, like in the Grand Slam, they play individually, but in events like Davis Cup or Fed Cup or even Olympics, they play as a team. It takes a team to win the tournament. So how do you think that the mindset of the team is right now? See, we have incidents where we have controversy where there was a problem with the selection of the players. But even after all this, how do you think this team is shaping up right now?
Well, the best part is you're playing for India. When you're playing, Fed Cup, Davis Cup, or the Olympics or the Asian Games, you're playing for India, and that's what really matters.
Hmm.
So no matter what your personal differences may be, you have to put them aside. Because at the end of the day, you're not playing for yourself; you're playing for a whole nation. The aspirations, or of an entire nation rest on your shoulders. So it's a whole different feeling. I mean, it really motivates you to no end. If you look at even in the history, no matter how much Leander and Mahesh fought, but when they played for India, I mean, they really stepped it up and achieved a lot of laurels for India. So it's a whole different mindset playing for your country. There is no I when you're playing for your country. There's only a we, because we're all together. We're all trying to do the best we can do for India, to try and help promote the cause of sports and tennis in India. So I think the whole mindset shifts. Controversies or no controversies, those are pre and post the games. But when you're there, you're giving it your best. You're trying your hardest to achieve a medal for your country.
Yeah. Talking about the Olympics, like we have had a stellar moment at the Olympics at 1996 Atlanta when Leander Pace won the bronze medal. Then we see in the 2004 and 2008, Pace and Bhupati fought well, but they were defeated against Croatia in 2004, and in 2008 probably they were lost against Wawrinka and Federer. So, did you watch those matches, and how was your experience watching those matches?
Yeah, I mean, they're a long time back. I know that uh, they lost to two tough teams, and that's what makes Olympics that much tougher, because the best players, like Wawrinka and Federer, you don't watch them play doubles on the tour at all. So they come to the new team. You don't know what to expect from them. You don't know what their weaknesses or their patterns are. So it becomes much tougher to play against an unknown team, and that's kind of the beauty of Olympics. Also, a lot of the top players who are not playing regularly with each other on the circuit combine to play Olympics together, and it's just a whole different ball game. And I mean, it was unfortunate that Leander and Mahesh couldn't win a medal for India at the Olympics. That would have been given a big boost to Indian tennis. But that's all in the past, and we can't really change anything about the past. We just have to look forward and see what we can do.
So we know that India has produced some good doubles players in the history. So like in 2016, both Sania and Bopanna were playing for the bronze medal and they lost the match, and it was very close match. And in 2020 as well, Sania can qualify for the Olympics, and she has the protected rankings as well. So what will it take for them, both Sania and Bopanna, to cross that last hurdle and to win that coveted medal in the Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, the dates have to be confirmed for the 2021 Olympics now, and based on when the dates are are announced, I think everyone will get together and try and figure out the best possible plan going forward and how they can achieve that elusive medal. Of course, when you come to the Olympics, you are going to expect the best players to come out and play, give it their best, because it's once in 4 years. So the competition is going to be that much more tougher and intense. And, I mean, 1 year away is a long time, and we'll have to see closer to the Olympics who's fitter, who's healthy, who's playing well. So it's a long way ahead right now to make any, guesses as to how things will pan out. As long we can just hope that all our top players remain healthy, they remain fit, and they're hungry and ready, and whoever's chosen to play is out there playing for India and willing to win for India.
Okay. So now that the break is happening, so it's been more than 4 months that the tennis players are in a break. And how much is it affecting the tennis ecosystem being in a lockdown? And like, it is a concern for the players and whoever it was were the staff for the tennis staffs. It has been problematic for them. So, what is the big concern about them?
Yeah, of course it has been. It's really shut down everyone, and no one's really been playing. And if you look at most of the states right now, a lot of the states haven't opened up, facilities. I know Maharashtra, our top girls are struggling to play tennis there. Telangana, a lot of states are not permitting people to play right now, and and that obviously will have an impact. The entire ecosystem, the more than the really top players, it's really affected the people at the grassroots level, because their livelihood depends on tennis, their daily wage earners, they go out there every day, play. I mean, I think have been impacted the most, the hardest. The players, of course, have had the good fortune of continuing their training, albeit not on a tennis court, but at least they're doing their fitness, they're staying healthy, they're staying sharp, they're doing yoga, they're doing whatever it takes to keep their health in good stead. And so I think overall, I think if you look at the tennis ecosystem, there will be a lot of changes. No tournaments are happening anywhere in India right now, and we don't know when they'll begin, to be honest. So we just, in the meantime, all we can do is keep doing our fitness, keep getting fitter. Now, of course, we've started getting back on the tennis court, which is a great sign. People are coming out and playing a lot more now, because tennis, of course, is a sport where there is a lot of social distancing. It's a safe sport to play. So a lot of people are starting to come out now. The fear is kind of settling a little bit. But having said that, we still have to be extremely careful, as the virus is just spreading more and more. So I think it's had a big impact on Indian tennis. But I know we human beings are resilient. We will bounce back. We will find a way back. And till then, we just have to do the best we can.
Okay. Tell me one thing. Where do you see Indian tennis when it's compared to the rest of the world? Because you see, Sumit Nagal won a set against Federer in January, and it was a positive thing, really positive thing. But somehow cherishing about the fact that he is winning a set, are we setting our expectations low?
Well, I mean, I think what was commendable about Sumit's performance at the US Open was the fact that he played Federer on the biggest stage at the US Open, a night match in the US Open. The energy is electrifying. And he gave a very good performance in the sense that he did not mentally break down. He came out there, he did the best he could do. And that's a big stage to be on. It's very, intimidating. I've been there, I've sat in the stands, I've watched those matches, and it really is intimidating. And the fact that this young man came out and, put his best foot forward is a good sign. It's a good sign for him. Obviously shows you that he can, step up to the big stage if need be. I'm sure he's working towards it. And overall, I think for Indian tennis, I think we were going in a good graph upwards till the coronavirus, kind of stopped everything, not only in India, but around the world. But I think the future of Indian tennis for me is extremely bright. We have a lot of good talent, a lot of good people. There is more awareness in this country. There are people who are working hard. Lots of good things are happening. And I think we need to focus a lot more on the good stuff that's happening in Indian tennis rather than the controversies that keep bogging Indian tennis down. So I'm very excited and hopeful about the future of Indian tennis.
Okay. Talking about the talents, like whom do you see? There are many good players right now in the junior circuit. So whom do you see are the prospective good players of the future today?
So in men or women or both?
Both.
Okay, so let's start with women since I'm the Fed Cup captain. So, obviously Ankita Raina has been working extremely hard. The entire, Fed Cup team has been doing exceedingly well. Carmen, of course, was unfortunate. She's been injured for a while, but now she's healthy. She's back on the court playing, which is a good thing. We have a lot of good youngsters coming in. Sri Valli, Rashmika, she's a good prospect. Satvika Sama is a good prospect. Zeel Desai is a good prospect. So we have a lot of young girls who are coming in who we need to keep an eye on to see how they're progressing, so that, we can kind of ease them into the Fed Cup team and help them, reach higher goals. So I think there is a lot of good talent coming on the women's side. And even on the men's side, we have a lot of good youngsters. Sumit is doing well. Ram, is doing well. Prajnesh is doing well. From the youngsters, Sasikumar Mukund is doing well. These guys are showing progress. We have the likes of Adil Kalyanpur and Siddhant Bhantia, and it's so interesting as we go along in the next couple of years. We'll probably hear of guys we haven't heard from their junior career who will just spring up. So, the point is people are working hard. They're trying their level best to get better. The standards of Indian tennis have definitely gotten a lot better. And yeah, I mean, I'm quite excited to see what the future holds for Indian tennis.
Okay, so we've seen that the junior players are doing excessively well in when it comes to the junior circuit. Like you see Yuki Bhamri, he has won a Grand Slam. But what it takes to replicate the thing in the senior circuit as well. Like we haven't found that much of success in the senior circuit.
Yeah, I mean it's a huge ask. It's a big transition from juniors to men's or from juniors to women's. If you see world over, I would say about 90% of the juniors who are doing really well in juniors don't make it to the professional circuit. They either get burnt out or they just lose interest or get hampered by injuries. It's not an easy transition to make, but for us in India, I think the big thing is we don't have to think about when will we get a singles Grand Slam champion. That's fair ways away right now. What we have to really concentrate is how do we get more and more of our players into the top 100 of the world. If we have a lot of players in the top 300, 400s, how do we move them into the 200s, into the 150s, into the 100s, the 50s? That's how the progression will go. And the more number of players, we can keep pushing up the world rankings. We can help them really develop into world-class players. That will then set the base for someone to eventually come out who will, possibly become a Grand Slam champion one day. But right now, our focus really has to be on elevating the standards of Indian tennis and helping our players get into the top 100, both in the men's and the women's side. We need more and more players really move in and move up the rankings and build from there. One step at a time. We don't need to get too far ahead of ourselves. We need to just go one step at a time.
Okay. So what do you think would be the ideal suggestion? Like what will help the Indian tennis fraternity? Like somewhere like an IPL like tournament in tennis, will it help Indian tennis move forward?
No, I don't think so. A tournament like that is not going to help Indian tennis. What will definitely help Indian tennis is if we can host a lot of international tennis tournaments in India. Whether it's the ITFs, the ATPs, or the WTAs. We need to give more and more of our players an opportunity to play international events in India, to gain valuable world ranking points in India so that they can get up their rankings and then start moving abroad and get into the bigger tournaments if possible. So I think a mixture of good training and a lot of tournaments in India will ensure that Indian standards keep moving up. And I think, in my opinion, that's one of the things we really have to concentrate on after we get out of the coronavirus break. How can we have more and more international tournaments in India? How do we get the funding for it so that more and more players, look, if we send 5 players abroad to play tournaments, it doesn't help us. If we do those tournaments in India and 50 Indians can participate in those tournaments, that helps us. We need to focus on that. So I personally think we need to start hosting at least 20-25 weeks of international competition in India. And if we're able to do that, you'll see a big jump in the rankings and the standards will improve further.
How can it be done? Because like there are just one 250 ATP 250 event and there are like 5 challenger series in India that happens right now. And how do you think that it can be convinced that more tournaments can happen in India?
Yeah, I mean, we're working hard on it. I know I for sure I'm working hard on it, trying to convince people to sponsor tennis as a sport. The part that really baffles me is tennis is one of the most popular sports in this country. If you look at every nook and corner, every club will have tennis courts. Now with all the high rises coming in, every high rise has tennis courts. It is one of the most popular sports in this country. And yet for some reason, we struggle getting the sponsorships, and I think that's where we need to get out more. We need to convince people to support tennis as a sport. any help we can get from the government will be most welcome and will be much appreciated. But I think the private sector also needs to step up big time. I've had instances where people have told me, oh, but we don't, tennis doesn't attract so many eyeballs. And I'm like, it's a chicken and egg situation. If you're not going to support a sport, if you're not going to help it build, it's not going to bring you those kind of eyeballs. So I think we really have to go out there a little bit more aggressively and convince people to support tennis as a sport, because there is a lot of good prospects. There is a lot. The future is very good for Indian tennis. And if we don't give our players the support, if we don't show people in this country that tennis is a viable profession for their child going forward, then how are we going to attract the best talent, the best athletic talent in this country to come towards sport? And that's what we really need, to attract the best athletic talent in the country to take up tennis as a sport. And then, we have to be prepared to help all these kids in their journey.
My last question to you would be like, where do you see Indian tennis after a decade, in probably 2030?
Well, I'd like to see at least 10 players, both in men's and women's, in the top 100 of the world. I'd really like to see that. I'd like to see a lot more people in the top 300 of the world. I'd like to see us in the world group of both Fed Cup and Davis Cup on a consistent basis. And I'd like to see tennis grow as a sport exponentially in this country. It has a lot of good raw material. There is a lot of good prospects in tennis, and I'm sure with the hard work that we all are putting in, we will get some good results going in the future. We just need the support, of the government, of the corporates, of the Indian people, our population at large, I'm very positive and hopeful about Indian tennis. I think there is a lot of good in the future for Indian tennis.
Thank you, Vishaal, for giving us this time. And so this is how we are signing off with today's live session. And next week we will be back with another live session. So till then, goodbye.